You think Malawi needs a unity government?
Needs, you mean like right now?
Correct.
At this point? No, I don't think so. I think that there should not be a unity government now. I think that the Mutharika record speaks for itself, and I think that the Mutharika record should face the voter in May 2009. I think that he started whatever he started. He left the party that sponsored him to become the president of Malawi, and he formed his own party, and he illegally and unconstitutionally poached members of parliament from the UDF and the MCP to form his government. And I think that there should be a verdict of voters on that one. I think that he deserves to hear what the people think about this, and there should be no unity government. He should go as he is, present himself to the voters and say, this is what I did, this is my record, vote for me. And then the other guys should also say, well, you know what, vote for us, and then let's see what happens.
What if we end up with another minority government and they can't get anything accomplished because of the same impasse that's handicapping the government right now?
Sure, but you see, I'm talking about right now. There's no room, I think, for a unity government now, because first of all, a lot of people, including myself, do not acknowledge the legitimacy really of this government, because it's based on illegality. The man was elected president on a platform of a different party. He's now in a different party, and his government, his MPs, his cabinet is poached. But after the elections, after May 2009, if a president wins and he's from a party that doesn't have a majority in parliament, I think it would be prudent, actually. It would be a good thing to try to form an alliance or a coalition government with a different party. That I can accept, but not as things are today.
What's wrong with Mutharika forming his own party? I thought you said that one of the great things that Muluzi did was he made freedom of association, freedom of people to actually form political parties was one of the key achievements of the Muluzi government. Why shouldn't Mutharika have taken advantage of that particular freedom?
If you remember earlier, we talked about democracy comes with a certain sense of responsibility. You have to be responsible to be entrusted with democracy. So yes, there is freedom to associate and freedom to form new parties, but it has to be done without, shall I say, bringing the house down. You can't say that you have the freedom to express yourself and then scream in the middle of the night outside your mother's door when she's sleeping and say you're expressing yourself. What Mutharika did flies in the face of the idea of multi-party democracy, because the whole idea of multi-party democracy is that your party gets elected at the voting. People choose your party in the framework you are elected in the framework of a party. Of course, you can run as an independent, which Mutharika did not do. He ran in the context of a political party. And after he succeeded to be sponsored by that party, he then, after he was quote-unquote reaping the spoils, because he was now president, then he left. This is not ethical. There's no ethics in this kind of a thing.
But we don't have a parliamentary system in Malawi. We have separate presidential and parliamentary elections.
True enough.
Does someone's winning of a presidential election not entitle them to make the claim that they were voted for by the people based on their own abilities and not just because of the party?
It's not the reality, because as I understand it, the ballot box, when you go to vote, the presidential candidate, his face is superimposed over the logo or of a specific political party. So when you are putting your, I could be wrong. I've never voted in Malawi, by the way. So, but my understanding is that the ballot paper is very clear about that. Now, I just want to clarify that if Mutharika had left the UDF, as he did in February 2005, if he had left the UDF and not formed another party, or if he had left the UDF, being a president but not poached members of parliament from other parties, I think the level of tension in the country today wouldn't be where it is now. But he didn't only leave the party that sponsored him, he formed a new one that wasn't voted for because it didn't exist. And then on top of all of that, he actually sort of raided the other political parties for, you know, and reaped their members of parliament for whom their respective political parties had spent political capital to market them and get them elected as members of parliament. See, this is what is ratcheting up the sense of tension and confrontation in the country.
But you can make the same argument that those parliamentarians that were enticed to join the DPP were exercising their own freedom of association, correct?
True. However, the Constitution doesn't prevent them from leaving their political party, joining another one. However, the Constitution would like them, first of all, to go back to their electors, to their constituencies. First of all, they should resign their seat, go back, have a by-election, get re-elected in their new political incarnation. They could form a new political party if they want. What the Constitution says is you will not cross the floor. And what that means is simply that if you are in parliament under the banner of one political party, you're not supposed to move to another political party that's also in parliament without first seeking a mandate from your voters. So all of these defecting members of parliament are within their rights to defect, but they skipped one very important step. They didn't ask their constituents.
What's the definition of the mandate from the people? Is it somebody going back to their constituency, addressing a rally and saying, I'm switching, or is it an election, in your view?
It has to be an election. It has to be the constituents have to re-elect the person in their new political colors. I think it robs the constituents of their freedom of choice, if you want, to just get elected as UDF, and then once you've been elected, and then you decide, oh, well, you know what, I want to be DPP. And then you don't go back and seek the endorsement of your voters. Frankly, I think that's fraud.
So your belief is that the Malawian electorate doesn't vote for the individual, they vote for the party?
Well, I can only surmise that they vote for both the individual and the party, and that the party part is not any smaller than the individual part. If on my ballot paper I have the face of my member of parliament and the logo of the party that he belongs to, when I put my tick there, I am voting for both. I'm voting for the guy plus the party that he represents for me. So if he's going to change any of those things, I would like to have a say in it, because I voted based on the information on my ballot paper. So he should come back to me and say, you know what, I don't like that party anymore. I want a new one. Do you agree or you don't agree?
There may be some that may disagree with that
Sure.
assessment and interpretation.
Because
I'm sure there might be some parliamentarians that have been elected as members of two different parties in two different elections. And they can make that argument to say, hey, they voted for me, they didn't vote for any party that I might have belonged to.
But we have to be safe about it, because what we're dealing with is a franchise. We're dealing with the will of the elector, and we cannot make assumptions about the elector. We can only make the kind of assumption that includes all the information that the elector had when he was electing. So if the elector knew Tendani as a member of the Malawi Congress Party, sure, he may have voted because it's Tendani, but we don't know. He may also have voted because Tendani is in the Malawi Congress Party and is the candidate that has been fielded by that party. I'm sure that, for example, in the central region, the Malawi Congress Party can field a very weak candidate, and the chances of him getting elected are high, because the central region is sort of like a stronghold of the Malawi Congress Party. Now, you know, if we know that, why do we think that the party is not important? There must be something that the party brings to the electability of the candidate, unless the candidate chooses to run as an independent.